So for quite a while now, walang passenger car ang Hyundai Motor Philippines, but thankfully however, they have decided to bring back the Hyundai Elantra compact sedan. What we have here today however is the Elantra Hybrid, and so with that in mind, how does this car compare versus the Civic Hybrid and Corolla Altis Hybrid, as well as this car's Chinese competitors? That is exactly what we're going to be finding out in this car's full review.
More on that later. For now, if you like what you're seeing, or even these kinds of reviews, why not hit subscribe and hit the bell?
Woohoo! What a car! What a car this thing! So what you're seeing here basically is the mid-cycle facelift of the Hyundai Elantra. And you have a sleek and bold grille flanked by slim LED headlights, and then you have this nice LED daytime running light here, which really helps in giving this car a sleek front end. Spurred for the N-Line version, which has a 1.6-liter turbo engine, you're going to be getting a compact sedan which looks truly sporty and one that stands out on the road. Actually, sa totoo lang, even this hybrid version, though this isn't the range-topping model in Hyundai's hierarchy in the Elantra lineup, it still looks pretty nice. Though admittedly, these wheels are a bit too small for my taste, because in other markets actually, the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid is available in nicer 17-inch wheels. Though granted, of course, if you give this car larger wheels, though it will look nicer, that will undoubtedly affect the car's fuel consumption. Now, moving towards the side profile of this car, you're gonna be seeing a nice tapering roof, along with plenty of creases and striking lines. Basically, hindi pa ito yung retro-futuristic design na nasanay tayo with Hyundai's cars as of late. So what this basically is Hyundai's previous sensuous sporty design language. And then, as we move towards the car's rear end, you're gonna be seeing this full with LED taillight, which has this H-shaped motif, pretty much echoing most of Hyundai's current models. Basically, in terms of the overall design of this car, I really do think that this car looks very striking and one that really stands out on the road, especially next to cars like the Toyota Corolla Altis, the Honda Civic Hybrid, and some of its Chinese competitors, though of course, the mga Chinese rivals are priced much lower, pretty much in line with subcompact cars. Now, with that in mind, that is a good time, I think, for us to hop inside the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid to see what else this car has to offer. So as you're going to be seeing here, the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid is equally stylish here inside the vehicle as well. So you have a nicely sculpted dashboard in which you have these two large screens, or rather a sakto lang na size for the car's infotainment system. But anyway, before we get to the tech part, let's first talk about the interior quality feel. So yeah, these are hard plastics here in the door panels, though you do have this leathered surfacing here, and then you also have soft touch materials on the dashboard, though this part is pretty hard na, itong nasa baba ng kanyang aircon vents. Overall though, gusto ko yung forma ng kanyang interior, but some competitors nga lang like the Honda Civic for example, do feel a bit more premium, lalo na of course the Mazda 3. Then again, walang hybrid variant ng Mazda 3, but only a 24-volt mild hybrid version. Anyway, as for the car's overall layout, I really do like the fact na marami ka pa ring physical controls, and that is pretty much reflected here with the car's 8-inch infotainment system. So yun nga lang, next to the car's 10.25-inch gauge cluster, the 8-inch screen is pretty much on the small side, and yeah, graphically speaking, it's one of their older software sa totoo lang. If you've seen my review of the Hyundai Stargazer, the previous version, along with the lower variants of that car, it's pretty much the same infotainment system. So yeah, for a car at this price point, kinda wish na this car had the larger version of this car's infotainment system, which of course comes with a nicer and newer software. At least you do get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, along with a wireless charging pad, at least for this higher variant of the Elantra Hybrid. Remember, there are two variants of the Elantra Hybrid, and This is pretty much like the range-topping version of the Elantra Hybrid lineup. But yun nga, sabi ko nga, in Hyundai's hierarchy, is actually the turbocharged N-line version which sits on top of the Elantra range. Now, as for the other features worth mentioning, you also have here leather upholstery, along with power adjustment for the driver's seat, though manual adjustment pa rin for the front passenger. Worth noting as well is that, yeah, you still have a manual dimming rearview mirror, and yeah, overall naman, it is pretty much well-equipped. Not the best, but sakto lang for the price. Speaking of which, totoo lang, the Elantra Hybrid nga pala is one of the more affordable compact sedan hybrids, especially when you compare it next to the Corolla Altis Hybrid and the Honda Civic Hybrid. So it's pretty much in between the Chinese rivals and the mainstream Japanese rivals. With that in mind though, let's now hop into the car's rear seats, which as you're gonna be seeing here, there is plenty of space. Yung nga, legroom is generous, and so is headroom despite this sloping roofline. So even if actually joke lang, my hair is already touching the ceiling kapag sumandal ako. So yeah, the sloping roofline does eat into the car's headroom. And yeah, I mean my hair is touching but hindi pa naman tumatama yung ulo ko directly. So that means na taller passengers will struggle a bit somewhat in terms of headroom here in the Elantra Hybrid's rear seats. Now, as for the legroom, yun nga, it's pretty good. Though being a compact sedan, of course, yeah, you're gonna be struggling a bit for shoulder room if you have a middle passenger here. But kung wala ka namang middle passenger, you can fold down the car's center armrest, which reveals these two cup holders. You also have here two aircon vents, along with two USB-C fast charging ports, and weirdly enough, you only have one map pocket, which is right here in the front passenger seat. That is pretty much actually it in terms of the rear seat features of the Elantra Hybrid. And in terms of the trunk space naman, it is actually pretty good.
Plus, it's also worth mentioning na hindi kinain ng hybrid system yung kanyang spare tire.
Now, with that in mind, let us now hop back into the driver's seat to see how the Elantra Hybrid performs on the road.
Now, the Hyundai Elantra has three engine choices to choose from. A base non-hybrid 1.6-liter, along with a 1.6-liter turbo, and of course, today's 1.6-liter hybrid system. With the electric motor sandwiched in between the gas engine and the 6-speed dual clutch, Hyundai's system is therefore a parallel hybrid versus the Japanese brand's preference for a series parallel system. As a result, the Elantra Hybrid's throttle behavior is the most natural out of any hybrid system.
So now that we're here on the open road, how does the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid perform? Well, one thing that I'm amazed with this car, first and foremost, pag-usapan natin siya agad, is its fuel economy. Because for the past 5 days, I've been driving this car. Share ko lang, this is by far the most fuel efficient car I've ever reviewed because we're currently doing 25.1 kilometers per liter. So that's amazing in this compact sedan with a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder gas engine and a dual clutch transmission. Those small wheels with thick profile tires do a really good job in making this car ultra efficient. So really good, I think, on Hyundai's part in making a compact sedan that's really efficient. So guys, if you're gonna be getting the best compact sedan in terms of fuel efficiency, yeah, that's pretty much what the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid is capable of doing. That includes city driving, though you have to remember na in my case kasi, I don't live in Metro Manila and I actually live outside Metro Manila, and so therefore, yeah, this car will really post excellent fuel efficiency figures because first and foremost, alam naman natin na parallel hybrids usually, so hindi to series parallel hybrid like what Toyota and Honda do with their hybrid systems. As we're here ngayon on the highway, the system does its best in shuffling between gas and electric, but pansin ko lang with Hyundai's parallel hybrid systems, they have a higher percentage of electric driving out on the highway versus the series parallel systems of Honda and Toyota. That is why usually kung mapapansin nyo, Hyundai and Kia's parallel hybrids perform better fuel efficiency wise out on the open highway. And even in the city though, don't get me wrong, matipid pa rin sa gas itong Elantra Hybrid, but it is on the highway where this car is at its best in terms of its fuel efficiency. Now, refinement-wise yun nga, the 7-speed dual clutch does a good job of shuffling the gears, and as a result, when you're gonna accelerate hard with this car, in Honda's case kasi alam naman natin na they do this fake gear shifts with their ECVT or at least their clutch-based ECVT. Toyota naman walang fake shift kind of mechanism, so it will really just drone the engine for as long as you're in the throttle pedal. But here nga kasi, since ito ay isang parallel hybrid with a dual clutch transmission, it feels very linear. The power delivery is as normal as a hybrid could get basically. So hindi siya nag-drone, like there's gonna be upshifts and downshifts. It performs really well. In terms of that aspect, power delivery, the 1.6 liter 4-cylinder gas engine, which isn't turbocharged mind you, is sakto lang. Actually, it's sakto lang for the car's body. Hindi siya kasing powerful nung 2-liter hybrid ng Honda Civic. And there's a good amount of power with this vehicle. Again, sakto nga lang siya, but because of the electric motors providing instant torque and instant response, so the power delivery out of this thing is actually pretty responsive. Smooth as well with how it blends gas and electric. And part of the smoothness na rin is how this car deals with bumps and even other road imperfections, because the suspension does a good job with ironing out the bumps on the road. Whether it's low speed or high speed drives, maganda yung bump absorption ng suspension niya. So that's pretty good on the refinement and comfort perspective. And even with refinement, of course, here in Go Flat Out PH, we've now been testing the noise levels of every car, and so this is what we've registered when driving this car at Calax at 100 kph from Silang to Santa Rosa. It really just proves my point na in terms of refinement, Hyundai vehicles tend to be one of the best in their segment. And once again, the Elantra Hybrid is no exception. Now, as for the other refinement aspects like vibrations, chassis rigidity, sabi ko nga, most Hyundais these days tend to feel very European, and in the case of this Elantra Hybrid, it is pretty much also quite a similar case because there's not a lot of vibrations entering through the cabin with this vehicle. Even when you go through weird leveling na mga surface, the chassis won't flex, you won't feel na parang or hear creaking whatnot. So it's a really good chassis. Then lastly, for the highway driving part, let us now talk about the car's advanced driver assistance system. So this comes with the Hyundai Smart Sense Advanced Driver Assistance Suite. So you do get automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, lane centering even, though wala ka nga lang ng mga rear-facing safety features like blind spot warning and rear cross traffic alert. That has been for some reason reserved for the N-Line variant. So so far so good then here in the Elantra Hybrid in terms of its high-speed driving experience. So how does this car feel like on your normal everyday roads? Now, I'm sorry nga lang guys, but it's a bit dark na ngayon. And do let me know though guys if you do want me to do night drives for my car reviews, because I do get a bit of comments na people would kind of appreciate my POV, or at least the Dash's POV ng basically sa gabi, because well, the lights do look interesting. But anyway, the Hyundai Elantra out in these kinds of roads, once again, sabi ko nga, the suspension's very comfy. It does a good job of ironing out the bumps on the road. I actually do like the car's hybrid system even in city speeds, because even when you jab the throttle ng mas madiin compared to the Japanese brands, it will still do its best to cruise in pure electric mode. So basically, Hyundai did a good job in making a smooth hybrid powertrain. No buzzing, no let's just say rubber band feel with the car's throttle response. And then worth mentioning then as well is that the steering on this car is on the light side, of course, as typical with the Hyundai vehicle. So you're gonna be enjoying this car when cruising around the city. And one thing that's worth mentioning as well is that, just trust me on this, di na natin masushoot itong coaching ito when being driven through twisties. Paparating yung bagyong Uwan, because well, that's kind of a strong typhoon, and I'm not gonna be able to film the car nang basically maaraw pa and clear yung weather, which will be unsafe if we're gonna be going through twisties pa just to film the car. But trust me on this, in terms of the car's handling aspect naman, like whether it's a car that's fun to drive or not, let's just say na the Elantra Hybrid is on the in-between side. Actually, to be fair, even the Toyota Corolla Altis is on the in-between side. These days kasi, Hyundai has done quite a good job with making the car have good body control. So, it's not as sporty as the Civic Hybrid, let alone a Mazda 3. But, yun nga, in the spectrum of things with good steering, good enough steering. So, in terms of feel, hindi naman siya completely numb, but it's not the best. Sharpness-wise, okay lang, like somewhere in between Toyota and Honda. So basically a lot of in-between stuff with the Elantra Hybrid's driving experience versus the Corolla Altis Hybrid and the Honda Civic Hybrid, of course. Now, worth mentioning then as well is that compared to the BYD Seal 5, because although that car competes at a lower price bracket because it's competing basically with cars like the Toyota Vios or the Honda City, but size-wise, it is already in the compact sedan segment. Versus the Seal 5, let's just say na in terms of body control, BYD is not the best. Like, it's not a brand you would think of in terms of body control. Sure, they have cars ngayon with nice body control, like for example, the BYD Seal electric sedan and the BYD E-Max 9 DMI. Pero basically, in the end, the established brands still have the edge when it comes to vehicle body control, especially in terms of ride quality and, more importantly, the car's handling characteristics.
So basically overall, the Hyundai Elantra Hybrid easily stands out with its outstanding fuel efficiency, in fact the best we've ever experienced out of any car, along with its excellent parallel hybrid system, the balanced European-like driving dynamics, and, at least relative to the Japanese brands, its more affordable starting price. Yun nga lang, as you're probably seeing or not seeing, Hyundai has barely sold an Elantra Hybrid, which is a shame because of how good this car is.